pro-Palestinian protests
on campuses around the country.
These are the scenes that have played out. Hundreds have been arrested, some violently.
In the summer of 2024, headlines all over the country buzzed with news about students coming together to protest the war in Gaza. But things unfolded differently at Morehouse College.
Morehouse has not seen the protests like we've seen on other college campuses, including here at Atlanta.
Your voices should be heard, and I promise you I hear them.
As an incoming freshman, I wondered what motivated the students to show up differently in the face of what they felt was injustice.
It was consistent with Morehouse to the degree to which you did what was consistent with integrity and respect.
We understand what peaceful protest means.
The way they carried themselves with so much dignity, so much pride. A lot of this go back to the Mays era.
The reputation of Morehouse men is credited in substantial part to none other than Benjamin Elijah Mays, a builder of men.
I want to talk about what makes Morehouse so special. And the best way to explain it is from a term coined by our 6th president, Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, and that's the Morehouse mystique. But there's a quote by Dr. Mays that I believe explains it the best. And the quote says, "There is an air of expectancy at Morehouse College. It is expected that the student who enters here will do well. We expect nothing less." So my question to you all is, what is excellence to you?
I chose Morehouse because of the culture. I think about the rich history from people like Benjamin E. Mays and Martin Luther King Jr. I realized that I could very well be next to do something big just like them.
Morehouse is an all-male HBCU in Atlanta, Georgia. Its mission is to develop men with disciplined minds who will lead lives of leadership and of service. Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays grew up in a very peculiar situation. He grew up in the Jim Crow South, where one of his first memories were riots that were happening in his city because of the color of his skin. And so growing up, he knew he wanted to become an educator. He knew he wanted to influence people, and he sought out to do just that. Benjamin Mays became a minister, a civil rights leader, and the 6th president and longest serving president of Morehouse College.
27 years he served as president. 27 years he was crafting the minds, right? 27 years he was creating leaders. 27 years he was creating curriculum, creating decisions that will last forever. I call him the father of Morehouse College.
When Mays becomes president of Morehouse in 1940, he had served as the dean of the chapel at Howard University prior to that. So when he came to Morehouse College, the war in Europe had begun, and the draft had been asymmetrical with respect to drafting disproportionate number of blacks if you consider their percentage of the population.
The Board of Trustees told him, "We are losing so many men. If we continue to lose men, we will have to close Morehouse College." And Dr. Mays said, "Not on your life."
One way of responding was to allow early admissions, going into high schools and drawing individuals out early.
He had pulled together a plan to recruit 15 and 16-year-old boys who was too young to go into the service, but had the knowledge base to succeed in college. And that's how he recruited Martin Luther King and so many other great figures during his lifetime.
He was a special advisor to Lyndon B. Johnson during the Civil Rights era. He was a mentor to the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.
If you consider the fact, Lerone Bennett, Martin Luther King Jr., Samuel DeBois Cook, now you have other people like Michael Lomax, Maynard Jackson, Julian Bond. All these individuals were students here at Morehouse College. What greater contribution is there to produce or to create or to even enliven in these students a sense of commitment to community, to right over wrong?
I think Dr. Mays was particularly moved to inspire. We owe that Morehouse mystique to Dr. Mays.
One thing I love to talk about is the Morehouse mystique. It's a term coined by Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, but once again, the definition is very elusive. So I want to ask you all, what does the Morehouse mystique mean to you?
I guess like the energy of the school just is the mystique. I think it's also a way, like the way you speak, like your attitude. It comes down to the confidence that you have and the way that you're gonna be bold enough to try and exude that.
You try to offset the stereotypes. So because the stereotype was we weren't intelligent, we were slothful, we were lazy, his point was you're going to counter that.
It really meant the amalgamation of inspiration, of being challenged, really having high expectations, being honest and trustworthy, and being one of service to your fellow man.
No matter how the Morehouse mystique is described, it must be the inspiration behind why the Morehouse students felt compelled to protest, and most of all, how the Morehouse students protested.
Morehouse College, we need you.
The main things that Mays, as a president, wanted to instill in its students is that those who are courageous will truly find something to reach or move towards in order to make change.
Up here you can see a statue of President Mays as well, but before I get to the statue, I want to talk about what you're standing on right here. So you can see there's an image down at your feet. At the bottom it says, "Et facta est lux." That is the motto of Morehouse College, and that means, "and there was light." So as you typically walk around this way, you can see the clouds, and the clouds represent all of the darkness of the world, all of the hatred, all of the isms and obias that make the world a worse place. But out of that darkness, you can see the sun, which represents Mother Morehouse, and each one of these rays represents one of you.
When one comes to Morehouse as a student, what is immediate is you can't be who you used to be.
Dr. Mays left a responsibility to each Morehouse student to lead with excellence. He expected nothing less.
All of you have to decide at your moment, what will you do? What I did as a student becomes irrelevant. You have to decide right now. What are you going to do in light of the social injustices that permeate society?
By default, we have a platform just based off of the school we attended and the school we will graduate from, and even more of a reasoning, even more of an opportunity to be a change and to make a change.
WABE.